The following presentation regarding search engine optimization, website architecture, digital marketing strategies, and online business operations is provided strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. The algorithms that govern search engine rankings are proprietary, highly complex, and subject to constant, unannounced changes by entities like Google. Therefore, the strategies, historical trends, and case studies discussed in this masterclass do not constitute professional, financial, legal, or guaranteed business advice. No specific search rankings, traffic metrics, or revenue increases can ever be promised in the SEO industry. Outcomes discussed are based solely on historical trends and potential outcomes observed within the broader digital marketing landscape. Viewers are strongly advised to conduct their own independent due diligence, research current best practices, and consult with qualified marketing professionals before implementing any significant changes to their digital infrastructure or overall business strategies. Your website's performance is dependent on countless variables unique to your specific market, your competition, and your execution. Let us start with a brutal, uncomfortable truth that most high-priced marketing agencies will never tell you. A recent massive industry study analyzing billions of URLs revealed that over 90% of all web pages currently published on the internet receive exactly zero organic search traffic from Google. None. Zero visitors, zero clicks, zero revenue generated from search. You might be pouring thousands of dollars into bespoke website design, paying freelancers to write hundreds of blog posts, and hustling relentlessly to build an American brand, but if you are blindly publishing content without a surgical approach to on-page optimization, you are essentially shouting into a void. You are building a beautiful billboard in the middle of a desert where no roads exist. Consider the chilling case study of a mid-sized e-commerce retailer based in Ohio. Just 2 years ago, they were experiencing record-breaking sales, scaling their warehousing operations and hiring new staff. Their primary engine of customer acquisition was organic search traffic. They felt invincible. Then a major algorithmic core update rolled out globally. Overnight, their traffic flatlined. They lost 80% of their daily visitors in a matter of hours. The phones stopped ringing. The cart abandonment notifications ceased because there were no carts being filled. They scrambled, hiring emergency consultants and panic-buying expensive PR campaigns. But the structural damage was done. The most tragic part of this historical case study? Their downfall was not a malicious penalty from Google. It was not a coordinated negative SEO attack by their competitors. It was a compounding failure of basic fundamental on-page SEO mechanics. They had neglected their title tag architecture, completely ignored search intent on their primary category pages, and allowed a simple CMS glitch to duplicate their content across hundreds of dynamic URLs. They built a massive digital skyscraper on a foundation of sand, and the algorithm simply washed it away. This is not just a cautionary tale. It is a daily, harsh reality for thousands of American entrepreneurs who treat search engine optimization as a mere afterthought, or worse, as a dark art they can outsource to the lowest bidder and forget about. But here is the most critical piece of the puzzle, and the open loop I want you to keep firmly in your mind for the duration of this deep dive masterclass. Within that Ohio company's disaster, there was one specific, deeply misunderstood HTML element that triggered the algorithmic collapse. It is an element that sits invisibly on the back end of your website right now. Most popular drag-and-drop website builders auto-generate this element incorrectly by default, and if you do not manually audit and fix it, you are actively inviting search engine crawlers to devalue your entire domain's authority. I am going to show you exactly how to find and fix this invisible trap later in this video, and the historical data shows that correcting it takes less than 5 minutes once you know exactly where to look in your source code. The stakes have genuinely never been higher for American business owners. We are currently operating in a volatile economic environment where customer acquisition costs on paid advertising platforms like Meta, LinkedIn, and Google Ads are reaching historic highs. Profit margins are being aggressively squeezed by inflation, supply chain complexities, and relentless domestic and international competition. Relying solely on paid traffic is an incredibly dangerous financial game. It is akin to renting your audience from a landlord who raises the rent every single month. The exact moment your credit card declines or you stop funding the campaign, the traffic completely stops flowing. Organic search traffic, however, represents true digital equity. It is the commercial real estate you actually own. When a potential customer in Texas, Florida, or New York pulls out their smartphone and searches for the exact, specific solution your business provides, capturing that top position is the fundamental difference between thriving and merely surviving. But capturing that prime digital real estate requires absolute precision. The days of stuffing keywords into paragraphs, hiding text on a white background, or publishing thin, 500-word generic articles are long gone. The modern search engine is a semantic powerhouse, driven by advanced natural language processing and complex machine learning models that are designed to understand human intent with terrifying accuracy. If your on-page signals are confusing, contradictory, or structurally flawed, the algorithm will bypass your site in milliseconds and reward your competitor, who took the time to optimize their digital presence meticulously. That is exactly why this masterclass exists. Today, we are stripping away the confusion, the agency jargon, and the conflicting advice that constantly clutters the internet. You do not need to be a software engineer or a coding savant to dominate your local or national market. You simply need a reliable, repeatable, and deeply comprehensive operational system. This video delivers the ultimate, exhaustive on-page SEO checklist, specifically engineered for American entrepreneurs who demand control over their digital destiny. We are not discussing theoretical concepts or risky, short-term hacks that might trigger a manual action penalty. We are focusing exclusively on foundational, structurally sound optimization techniques that have demonstrated consistent historical trends of long-term success. On-page SEO is the one variable in the vast digital marketing ecosystem that you have absolute 100% control over. You cannot always control who links to your website, you cannot control what your competitors publish, and you certainly cannot control how the search engine algorithms update, but you have total, undisputed authority over the words on your page, the structure of your HTML, and the user experience you deliver to your visitors. In this masterclass, we are going to meticulously dissect the anatomy of a perfectly optimized web page. We will cover the granular details of primary and secondary keyword placement, the behavioral psychology behind crafting click-inducing meta descriptions, the critical structural importance of semantic header tags, and the exact data-driven methods for aligning your written content with the highly specific search intent of your target demographic. We will look at detailed case studies of how subtle shifts in URL architecture and internal linking strategies can dramatically alter a page's topical authority and relevance score. Whether you are running a B2B SaaS company out of Silicon Valley, a local plumbing business in Chicago, or a boutique e-commerce brand in Austin, the underlying architecture of search remains the same. By the end of this presentation, you will possess a tactical, step-by-step blueprint that you can immediately apply to your homepage, your product listings, your service pages, and your blog architecture. This is about transforming your website from a passive digital brochure into an aggressive, automated lead generation asset. Prepare to take detailed notes, eliminate all distractions, and evaluate your current website, because we are leaving no stone unturned in the pursuit of building sustainable organic search visibility. The absolute first pillar of our checklist is not a technical line of code. It is the psychological foundation of your entire digital presence, and it is called search intent alignment. In the year 2026, the search engine algorithm has evolved far beyond simply matching text on a page to text in a search bar. It is now a highly sophisticated prediction engine, designed to understand the underlying human desire behind every single keystroke. If you fail to align your page with the exact intent of the searcher, it does not matter if you have the fastest server infrastructure in the world or the most authoritative digital PR campaigns. You will simply not capture the market. To illustrate the severity of this, let us examine a detailed case study involving an American entrepreneur named Sarah. In early 2026, Sarah launched a boutique inventory management software company based in Denver, Colorado. Her target audience consisted of mid-sized retail businesses across the United States. She identified a high-volume search term, inventory management software. Driven by outdated, generalized marketing advice, Sarah spent weeks crafting a massive 5,000-word comprehensive guide on the history and evolution of supply chain logistics. She optimized her headers, added custom infographics, and published this colossal document on her primary landing page. Historical trends show that perhaps a decade ago, this sheer volume of text might have brute forced its way to the top of the search results through keyword density alone. But Sarah was operating in the modern semantic web. When potential enterprise customers typed that specific phrase into the search engine, they were not looking for an academic history lesson. They were in a commercial investigation mindset. They actively wanted to see pricing tiers, interactive feature comparisons, third-party software integrations, and verified customer testimonials. Because Sarah provided an encyclopedia entry instead of a commercial product page, her user metrics plummeted catastrophically. Visitors landed on her site, immediately realized it did not solve their immediate commercial requirement to evaluate software, and bounced back to the search results within seconds. The machine learning algorithm interpreted this rapid exit rate as a massive negative behavioral signal. Sarah's page was subsequently buried deep within the search results, generating zero return on her substantial capital and time investment. Meanwhile, her direct competitor, a lean startup based in Austin, Texas, deeply understood search intent alignment. They targeted the exact same high-value phrase, but engineered a highly optimized product comparison page instead of a blog post. It featured clear, immediately visible comparison tables, a transparent pricing calculator, and a frictionless direct call to action to book a live software demo. They analyzed what the algorithm was already rewarding and modeled their digital architecture accordingly. The potential outcomes for this strategic alignment were staggering. The Austin company captured the top organic positions, intercepting thousands of highly qualified, ready-to-buy prospects every single month, entirely because they gave the search engine exactly what the human searcher desired. This brings us to the mandatory step-by-step evaluation you must perform for every single web page you intend to publish. You must aggressively categorize your target keywords into one of 4 distinct intent buckets before writing a single sentence. The first is informational intent, where the user is looking for an explicit answer to a question, such as how to winterize commercial plumbing in Minnesota. The second is navigational intent, where the user is trying to locate a specific digital destination, such as a localized employee login portal. The third is commercial investigation, where the user is actively comparing options, reading case studies, or searching for the best fleet tracking software for trucking companies. The fourth, and arguably the most lucrative, is transactional intent, where the user has their corporate credit card in hand and is executing specific queries like buy industrial coffee roaster online wholesale. Imagine if you are a commercial roofing contractor operating in Chicago. You identify the keyword commercial roof repair. Before you adjust a single HTML tag on your website, you must open a private browsing window and physically type that exact phrase into the search engine. You must manually analyze the historical trends of the top 5 organic results currently ranking in your specific geographic area in 2026. Are those top results localized service pages with emergency contact numbers, contractor license numbers, and trust badges? Or are they long-form blog posts explaining the chemical composition of commercial roofing tar? If the algorithm is exclusively rewarding highly localized service pages with immediate lead capture forms, you cannot outsmart the machine by publishing a generic, educational blog post. You must build a highly optimized service page that perfectly mirrors the structural intent the algorithm is actively demanding for that specific query. Once you have locked in the correct search intent, you move to the second critical checkpoint on our masterclass checklist: your precise URL architecture. Your URL string is the very first structural clue that both the human user and the automated search engine crawler encounter. It must be brutally concise, semantically relevant, and perfectly aligned with your primary target phrase. Far too many business owners allow their content management systems to auto-generate long, convoluted URL strings filled with random database numbers, publication dates, and unnecessary nested category folders. A structurally sound URL should immediately communicate the exact topic of the page without any deciphering required. If your target phrase is affordable corporate bookkeeping services in Atlanta, your URL slug should simply read affordable corporate bookkeeping Atlanta. You must ruthlessly eliminate all stop words like and, the, or for from your URL structures. These linguistic filler words dilute the topical density of the URL and provide absolutely zero structural value to the search engine crawler. Furthermore, the hierarchical structure of your URLs must map logically to the operational architecture of your physical business. Your primary domain name followed by a broad service category folder, followed by the specific service page, creates a clean, mathematically organized path that allows link equity and domain authority to flow seamlessly throughout your entire website ecosystem. When an algorithmic crawler enters your site, it should be able to deduce your entire business model simply by analyzing the logic of your URL strings. Historical data consistently demonstrates that domains with flat, organized, and keyword-rich URL structures index significantly faster and rank far more predictably than domains with chaotic, auto-generated pathways. But understanding search intent and engineering the perfect URL structure are merely the foundational concrete slabs. They get your business to the starting line of the digital race. To actually win the click and dominate the highly contested digital real estate at the very top of the search results, You must master the precise art of the HTML meta elements. These are the specific lines of back-end code that dictate exactly how your business appears to the general public in the search engine results pages. And this is exactly where we uncover that deeply misunderstood, invisible trap I warned you about at the very beginning of this masterclass. There is one specific HTML tag that, if neglected or auto-generated incorrectly by your software platform, will actively repel potential customers and systematically sabotage your organic click-through rates before they even see your beautiful website. In the next phase of this breakdown, we are going to dive directly into the raw source code to expose this exact trap, and I will give you the precise character-by-character formula to engineer a tag that commands absolute industry authority and practically forces your target audience to click on your link over your competitors. Let us open the hood and inspect the raw HTML of your website. Right-click on your homepage right now and select View Page Source. Press Ctrl F and search for the word title enclosed in brackets. This is your title tag. This single string of text is the most heavily weighted on-page SEO element in existence. It dictates the exact text that appears as the massive, clickable blue link in the search engine results. The invisible trap that snags millions of American entrepreneurs is trusting their website builder or their entry-level marketing agency to generate this tag automatically. By default, most content management systems will simply pull the file name of the page and clumsily append your business name to the end. This results in tragic, revenue-killing title tags that read exactly like this: Home Smith Plumbing or Services Johnson Consulting. You have just wasted the most valuable piece of digital real estate on the internet. When the search engine crawler scans your code, it uses the title tag to establish the primary topical baseline for the entire page. If the tag literally says home, the algorithm naturally assumes the page is about the general concept of a home, not about commercial pipe fitting, forensic accounting, or whatever highly specialized service you actually provide. You must explicitly tell the machine exactly what the page is about using precise, localized, and commercially driven terminology. Let us examine a highly instructive case study from early 2026. Meet Michael, a seasoned entrepreneur who recently purchased a mid-sized commercial HVAC company in Phoenix, Arizona. Michael possessed a beautifully designed website, a modern fleet of branded service trucks, and a stellar offline reputation. However, his organic phone calls from web searches were practically non-existent. A rigorous technical audit of his source code immediately revealed the invisible trap. His primary commercial service page featured an auto-generated title tag that read, Commercial Services, Desert Air HVAC. It was incredibly vague. It lacked any specific search intent. It completely ignored the exact vocabulary his target market was aggressively typing into the search bar during the sweltering Arizona summer. We applied the precise character-by-character formula that I am about to give you. We manually rewrote his tag to read, Commercial HVAC Repair Phoenix, Arizona 24/7 Dispatch Desert Air. The historical trends observed after this single surgical modification were spectacular. Within weeks, the search engine algorithm re-evaluated his page, recognized the precise semantic alignment with high-value, localized queries, and his organic click-through rate skyrocketed. He did not write a single new word of content on the page itself. He did not build any new backlinks. He simply optimized the digital billboard that the search engine displayed to the public. He gave the algorithm exactly what it needed to categorize his business correctly, and he gave the human searchers exactly what they needed to confidently click his link. Here is the exact unyielding formula you must deploy across every critical page on your domain to achieve similar potential outcomes. Your title tag must be strictly between 50 and 60 characters long, which translates to roughly 600 pixels of screen width. If you exceed this strict limit, the search engine will brutally truncate your title with an ellipsis, cutting off your most persuasive words and leaving your message incomplete. The architectural structure must be exactly this: primary target keyword, followed by a vertical pipe, followed by a secondary keyword or a high-value commercial modifier, followed by a vertical pipe, and finally your brand name. Furthermore, the primary keyword must sit as close to the absolute beginning of the tag as humanly possible. The machine learning algorithm assigns the highest mathematical weight to the very first words in the text string. If your primary business goal is to attract corporate clients looking for cybersecurity audits in Seattle, your title tag should never start with your brand name. It should start with Seattle cybersecurity audits. You must front-load your most valuable linguistic assets. But the title tag does not operate in a vacuum. It works in absolute tandem with the second half of the HTML trap, the meta description. This is the two-line paragraph of gray text that sits directly beneath the blue link in the search engine results pages. Now, let me be crystal clear about a fundamental algorithmic reality. The actual words inside your meta description do not directly influence your numerical ranking. You cannot stuff keywords into this paragraph and magically expect to rise to the number 1 position. However, its indirect impact on your organic success is massive. The meta description serves one singular, aggressive purpose: to maximize your click-through rate. Click-through rate is a powerful behavioral metric that modern search engines monitor with terrifying precision. If your website currently ranks in the number 3 position, but your title tag and meta description are so incredibly compelling that users consistently choose to click your link instead of the number 1 or number 2 results, the algorithm takes immediate notice. It interprets this human behavior as a definitive, mathematically proven signal that your page is the superior answer for that specific query. Over time, historical data consistently shows that the algorithm will self-correct and promote the page that generates the highest behavioral engagement. Your meta description is your free, organic advertising copy, and it is printed directly on the search engine's front page. Imagine if you are a high-stakes corporate attorney operating in Manhattan. A potential enterprise client searches for corporate contract dispute lawyer NYC. They are stressed, they are facing imminent litigation, and they are scanning the search results rapidly on their mobile device. The first result has an auto-generated meta description pulled randomly from the website footer, reading, "Copyright 2026. All rights reserved. Our firm has been serving New York for 20 years. Click here to learn more about our partners." It is dry, irrelevant, completely wastes precious screen space, and fails to address the user's immediate crisis. The second result, however, utilizes a surgically crafted meta description reading. Facing a complex corporate contract dispute in Manhattan? Our aggressive litigation team protects your corporate assets. Call today for a confidential case evaluation. Which link earns the click? The second option wins the traffic every single time because it directly addresses the user's immediate psychological pain point, establishes commanding authority, and ends with a clear, unambiguous call to action. The operational formula for a high-converting meta description is strict and unforgiving. It must remain under 155 characters to avoid being truncated on modern mobile devices. It must begin with an action-oriented verb or a direct question that perfectly mirrors the searcher's internal anxiety or desire. It must include your primary keyword naturally, as search engines will often bold these matching terms in the search results, drawing the human eye directly to your listing. Finally, it must conclude with a demanding directive telling the user exactly what to do next, such as get a free quote today, view our project gallery, or schedule a secure consultation now. You must immediately pause and audit your top 20 most revenue-driving URLs. Do not simply assume your web developer handled this correctly during the site launch. Do not assume your automated SEO plugin is optimizing these elements dynamically. You must manually inspect the title tag and meta description of every single product category, every primary service pillar, and your homepage. You are essentially writing direct response marketing copy for the most competitive arena on earth. Treat these two HTML elements with the exact same financial reverence you would treat a $50,000 billboard placement on a major interstate highway. Every single character counts. Every single word must fight fiercely for its placement in the code. So you have perfectly aligned your search intent. You have engineered a clean, logical URL structure. You have deployed the ultimate, high-converting title tag and meta description combination, and you have successfully won the click. The human user has chosen your American business over every other ruthless competitor on the page. They tap the link on their phone. The page begins to load. The clock instantly starts ticking. You now have exactly 3 seconds to validate the massive promise you just made in the search results, or that user will hit the back button, triggering a catastrophic behavioral signal known as pogo sticking, permanently damaging your algorithmic authority. The single most critical element that determines whether they stay and buy or bounce and leave forever is the very first line of text they see on your actual website. It is the structural backbone of your on-page content, and if you get this next fundamental HTML tag wrong, your beautifully crafted meta elements are completely worthless. That tag is your H1 header. The H1 is the primary headline of your digital document. It is the massive bold text sitting right at the top of your page. In the physical world, it is the headline of the front page of a newspaper. If a potential client picks up a newspaper because the front cover promised a story about a massive real estate merger, but they open it up and the first headline is an advertisement for a local bakery, they will throw the paper in the trash. The exact same psychological rejection happens on your website, but it happens in fractions of a second. This psychological continuity is known in the digital marketing industry as maintaining the scent of the search. Let us look at a historical case study from early 2026 involving an American entrepreneur named David. David ran a highly successful commercial freight forwarding company based in Dallas, Texas. He spent tens of thousands of dollars optimizing his title tags and meta descriptions. His click-through rates from the search engine results pages were phenomenal. People were clicking his link constantly. Yet, his actual lead generation numbers were completely stagnant. When we audited his primary landing page, the critical failure was glaringly obvious. The title tag that users clicked read Dallas Commercial Freight Forwarding Services. But when the page loaded, the massive H1 tag at the very top of his website simply read Moving Forward Together. David was attempting to be clever. He was attempting to sound like a massive corporate brand with a vague, inspiring slogan. But the search engine crawler is not a poet. It is a mathematical machine attempting to verify the relevance of the page. And the human user is an impatient buyer looking for immediate confirmation that they are in the right place. By using a vague, clever H1 tag, David completely broke the scent of the search. Users clicked expecting freight forwarding, saw a page that looked like a generic corporate brochure, and immediately hit the back button. We changed his H1 tag to perfectly mirror his title tag, rewriting it to read Enterprise Commercial Freight Forwarding in Dallas. The potential outcomes materialized almost instantly. His bounce rate plummeted, his average time on page doubled, and his sales team began fielding highly qualified calls because the user felt immediately validated in their click. The rules for engineering a structurally perfect H1 tag are absolute. First, there must be exactly one H1 tag per page. Never 0 and never 2. Most visual website builders are notorious for allowing users to make text visually larger by simply assigning it an H1 tag from a drop-down menu. This is a catastrophic architectural error. Multiple H1 tags completely shatter the topical hierarchy of your document, severely confusing the crawler and diluting the semantic power of your primary keyword. You must explicitly reserve the H1 designation exclusively for the single most important descriptive headline at the top of your page. Second, your H1 tag must feature your primary target keyword, ideally as close to the beginning of the sentence as possible, just like your title tag. However, unlike the title tag, your H1 does not have strict character limits imposed by search engine pixel widths. This gives you the strategic freedom to make the H1 slightly more conversational and engaging for the human reader, while still satisfying the mathematical requirements of the machine. Once you have locked in the perfect H1, you must meticulously structure the rest of your page using H2 and H3 tags. Think of these tags as the chapters and subchapters of a deeply researched textbook. The modern American consumer does not read web pages line by line, they scan them aggressively. They scroll rapidly on their mobile devices, looking for bold headers that answer their specific secondary questions. If you present them with a massive, unbroken wall of text, they will experience cognitive overload and abandon your site to find a competitor who respects their time. Imagine if you are a software founder operating a financial technology startup in Miami, Florida. Your target audience is small business owners looking for automated payroll solutions. Your H1 tag establishes the primary topic, automated payroll software for small businesses. Your page must then logically break down into H2 tags that target the exact secondary intent of that buyer. Your first H2 tag might read seamless integration with existing accounting platforms. Your second H2 tag could be state and federal tax compliance automation. Underneath that specific tax compliance section, you would use H3 tags to get even more granular, perhaps detailing W-2 generation or independent contractor 1099 processing. This precise cascading structure does two incredibly powerful things simultaneously. First, it creates an effortless, frictionless reading experience for the busy entrepreneur who landed on your page. They can scroll down, immediately find the exact subtopic they care about, consume that specific information, and move directly to your call to action. Second, and crucially for your algorithmic authority, it feeds the search engine crawler a perfectly organized semantic roadmap of your entire document. The crawler reads the H1, understands the overarching theme, then scans the H2S and H3S, realizing that your page is not just a thin, generic article, but a deeply comprehensive, authoritative resource that exhaustively covers every logical subtopic related to automated payroll systems. Historical trends explicitly show that domains deploying this strict header hierarchy consistently outrank chaotic, unstructured pages, even if those unstructured pages have a higher volume of external backlinks. The algorithm actively rewards sites that prioritize user experience and structural clarity. You must systematically audit your entire domain and strip out any generic headers today. Replace every instance of our services with a highly descriptive H2 like commercial janitorial services in Boston. Replace every instance of About Us with an H2 that builds immediate topical authority, such as 2 decades of corporate litigation experience. Every single header tag is a strategic, calculated opportunity to feed the algorithm more semantic data and keep the human reader actively engaged. However, establishing this flawless HTML skeleton is only setting the stage. You have built a magnificent, perfectly structured digital library, complete with beautifully labeled sections and logically organized shelves. But a library with empty shelves is completely useless to a researcher. Now you must fill those shelves with the actual words, sentences, and paragraphs that form the meat of your page. And in the year 2026, the strategy for writing optimized copy has radically shifted. The era of writing specifically for search engines by repeating the exact same keyword 20 times is entirely dead, and engaging in that outdated practice will trigger a rapid, severe algorithmic penalty. To dominate the modern search landscape, you must speak a completely different semantic language, utilizing a deeply complex web of related entities and contextual vocabulary that proves to the machine you are a true subject matter expert. If you do not weave this specific type of vocabulary into your paragraphs, your perfectly structured headers will not save you. In the next section, we are going to break down exactly how to extract these invisible algorithmic keywords and inject them into your copy to achieve overwhelming topical authority. The concept we are dissecting here is formally known within the digital marketing industry as semantic entity optimization. In the early days of the internet, search engine algorithms were fundamentally unsophisticated. They operated on a primitive mathematical model known as keyword density. If your target phrase was corporate accounting firm, the machine simply scanned your document and counted how many times that exact string of letters appeared. The page with the highest count was deemed the most relevant. This led to a catastrophic degradation of content quality, where business owners would publish unreadable, repetitive paragraphs just to manipulate the machine. Today, in the year 2026, the algorithm has evolved into a terrifyingly advanced natural language processing system. It no longer reads words, it reads relationships between concepts. It understands what an entity is. An entity is a person, a place, a definitive concept, or an organization. The algorithm possesses a massive, interconnected database of these entities and knows exactly which concepts are historically associated with one another. To understand the absolute necessity of this shift, we must look at a highly instructive case study involving Marcus, an American entrepreneur who launched a commercial trucking insurance brokerage in Atlanta, Georgia, in early 2026. Marcus desperately wanted his primary service page to rank for the highly lucrative search term Atlanta Commercial Fleet Insurance. Following outdated advice from an obsolete marketing forum, Marcus hired a low-cost freelance writer who delivered a 2,000-word page. The writer aggressively forced the exact phrase Atlanta Commercial Fleet Insurance into the text over 40 times. The sentences were clunky, unnatural, and completely devoid of actual insurance industry expertise. When Google crawled the page, it did not reward Marcus for his keyword density. Instead, the natural language processing algorithm immediately flagged the document as low-quality, manipulated content. The page was buried on the 10th page of the search results, generating 0 impressions and 0 revenue. The algorithmic failure occurred because Marcus's page was missing the invisible, semantic vocabulary that mathematically proves topical authority. Think about how a genuine 20-year veteran of the commercial insurance industry actually speaks. An expert discussing fleet insurance does not just repeat the phrase fleet insurance endlessly. They naturally utilize a highly specific ecosystem of related terminology. They discuss Department of Transportation compliance, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration regulations, bodily injury liability limits, uninsured motorist coverage, cargo deductibles, underwriting guidelines, and premium financing. These related terms are the algorithmic entities. When the modern search engine crawler scans a page, it actively searches for this surrounding vocabulary. If it sees your primary target keyword but fails to find any of the expected supporting entities, it mathematically concludes that your content is superficial, written by an amateur, and unworthy of a top-tier ranking. We intervened and completely rewrote Marcus's primary service page. We reduced the exact match primary keyword density to less than 1%. meaning the actual phrase Atlanta commercial fleet insurance only appeared 3 or 4 times in the entire document. Instead, we heavily injected the precise semantic entities required by the algorithm. We added a detailed section explaining FMCSA filing requirements for Georgia-based motor carriers. We included a deep dive into how workers' compensation integration affects overall fleet liability premiums. The potential outcomes of this semantic shift were explosive. By speaking the precise technical language of his industry, the algorithm recognized the depth, accuracy, and undeniable expertise of the document. The page rapidly climbed the search engine results pages, not by brute forcing a single keyword, but by demonstrating an overwhelming comprehensive mastery of the entire subject matter. This brings us to the exact step-by-step methodology you must use to extract these crucial entities for your own American business. You do not need expensive, enterprise-level software to uncover these terms. The search engine actually hands them to you for free right on the results page. Imagine if you are a certified public accountant in Chicago building a page to attract corporate tax preparation clients. Open your browser and search for your primary target term. First, scroll down to the People Also Ask section. Expand those drop-down menus. Look closely at the exact phrasing of those questions. You will see terms like federal corporate tax rate, C corporation deductions, and IRS audit defense. These are highly relevant semantic entities. Next, scroll to the very bottom of the results page and analyze the related searches block. You might find phrases like Chicago corporate tax attorney, state franchise tax Illinois, or small business tax preparation software. You must meticulously harvest all of these related concepts, group them logically, and ensure they are woven naturally into your H2 tags, your H3 tags, and your paragraph copy. Furthermore, you must utilize a strategy known as TF-IDF, which stands for Term Frequency Inverse Document Frequency. While the mathematics behind it are complex, the practical application is simple. You must analyze the top 5 competitors who are currently dominating your market for your chosen search term. Read their pages word for word. What specific industry jargon are they using that you are currently missing? Are they mentioning specific local regulations, proprietary software integrations, or regional supply chain issues that you forgot to include? The search engine is actively rewarding those specific competitor pages right now, which means their semantic profile is historically proven to be exactly what the algorithm desires. You must reverse engineer their vocabulary and build a page that covers those exact same entities, but with even greater depth, clarity, and factual accuracy. When you align your search intent, build a flawless HTML header structure, and saturate your paragraphs with deeply researched, highly specific semantic entities, you create a piece of digital architecture that is mathematically irresistible to the search engine. You transform your website from a generic digital brochure into a definitive, authoritative industry resource. You are proving to the algorithm, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that your business is the single most qualified entity to answer the searcher's query. However, writing authoritative text and structuring your HTML headers is only addressing the textual dimension of your web page. Modern consumers do not just read text, they consume visual media. Your web page is undoubtedly filled with photographs of your team, images of your products, custom infographics, or pictures of your physical storefront. If you are blindly uploading these images directly from your smartphone or your digital camera without a rigorous optimization process, you are committing a massive structural error that will actively destroy your organic rankings. Unoptimized media files act as massive digital anchors, dragging your site speed down to fatal levels and causing users to abandon your page before the text even loads. More importantly, there is a hidden layer of code attached to every single visual asset on your website that acts as a secret, highly lucrative backdoor for massive organic traffic. Most entrepreneurs leave this critical code completely blank. In the next segment of this masterclass, we are going to expose this hidden image attribute, and I will show you exactly how to turn every single picture on your website into a silent 24-hour search engine traffic generator. The hidden attribute I am referring to is actually a combination of 2 distinct, critical elements: the raw file name of your image and its corresponding alternative text, known throughout the digital marketing industry simply as alt text. We must fundamentally understand a technological reality about how modern search engine crawlers interact with your website. Despite the terrifying advancements in artificial intelligence and machine vision, in the year 2026, algorithmic crawlers are still primarily text-based processing machines. When a crawler arrives at your landing page and encounters a beautiful, high-resolution photograph of your physical storefront or a detailed infographic explaining your software, the machine does not inherently see the aesthetic value of the image. Sees a void. It relies entirely on the hidden textual data attached to that specific image file to understand its context, its relevance to the surrounding paragraphs, and its overall value to the human searcher. The catastrophic failure begins before the image is even uploaded to your content management system. Let us examine the native file name. When you take a photograph with a digital camera or your smartphone, the device automatically assigns a sequential alphanumeric file name to the image, typically looking something like img_8475.jpg. Millions of American entrepreneurs simply transfer these raw files directly from their phones to their websites without a second thought. This is a massive structural error. When the search engine crawler reads the source code of your page, it reads that exact file name first. If your page is meticulously optimized for commercial real estate law in Manhattan, but your primary header image is named img_8475, you are actively confusing the algorithm. You have squandered a highly lucrative opportunity to inject semantic relevance into your digital architecture. Before you ever upload a visual asset to your website, you must physically rename the file on your local hard drive using precise, descriptive, and keyword-rich terminology. You must use hyphens to separate the words, as search engines mathematically interpret hyphens as spaces. If you are a commercial contractor uploading a picture of a recently completed project, the file name should be structured as Commercial Roof Replacement Downtown Chicago.webp. This hyperspecific file name immediately feeds the algorithm a massive dose of contextual data before it even analyzes the rest of your page. To truly grasp the revenue-generating power of this invisible optimization, we must look at a detailed case study from early 2026 involving an American business owner named Jessica. Jessica operated a highly specialized, custom architectural lighting fabrication company based in Seattle, Washington. She built a visually stunning portfolio website showcasing her massive, industrial brass chandeliers. Her target audience consisted of high-end interior designers and commercial architects across the United States. Jessica invested heavily in professional photography, uploading dozens of incredibly detailed images to her product pages. However, her organic traffic was completely stagnant. A deep technical audit revealed that every single image on her entire domain retained its native camera file name, and every single alt text field was left completely blank. Jessica was entirely missing out on a massive parallel search engine, Google Images. Historical trends consistently demonstrate that for highly visual industries, such as architecture, interior design, e-commerce apparel, and custom manufacturing, up to 30% of all organic discovery traffic originates from image searches. The single biggest culprit for catastrophic site speed is uncompressed, oversized image files. Many business owners upload massive, 5-megabyte raw PNG or JPEG files directly to their homepages. This forces the user's mobile browser to download an enormous amount of data before they can even read your H1 tag. You must institute a strict, non-negotiable protocol for image compression. Before uploading any visual asset, you must run it through compression software to strip out unnecessary metadata and reduce the file size by 70 to 80% without sacrificing visual quality. Furthermore, in the year 2026, you must completely abandon outdated file formats like JPEG and PNG. You must convert all of your visual assets to next-generation image formats, specifically WebP or AVIF. These modern formats provide superior visual fidelity at a fraction of the digital weight, allowing your page to render almost instantly on mobile networks, perfectly satisfying the algorithm's aggressive demand for speed. You have now mastered the architectural foundation. You have aligned your search intent, structured your URLs, optimized your meta elements to win the click, crafted a flawless HTML header hierarchy, injected advanced semantic entities into your copy, and transformed every image into a lightweight, highly optimized traffic engine. You have built an incredible collection of individual high-performing digital assets. But an isolated page, no matter how perfectly optimized, is incredibly weak on its own. To achieve true, overwhelming market dominance, you must bind these individual pages together using an invisible structural spiderweb that artificially funnels algorithmic authority directly to your most lucrative commercial pages. If you fail to build this internal architecture correctly, your pages become isolated orphans, completely invisible to the crawler. In the next phase of this masterclass, we are going to dissect the precise mathematics of internal link equity, and I will show you exactly how to build a topical silo that forces the search engine to recognize your website as the undisputed, absolute authority in your industry. This invisible structural spiderweb is built entirely upon the strategic deployment of internal hyperlinks. To understand the profound mathematical power of internal linking, you must visualize your website not as a collection of independent digital flyers, but as a vast, interconnected metropolitan city. In this city, your homepage is the central downtown hub. It naturally possesses the highest concentration of digital authority, historically referred to within the search industry as link equity, because it is the primary destination where other websites on the internet will naturally link. However, your most lucrative, highly specific commercial service pages, the ones that actually generate revenue and convert high-ticket clients, are often located out in the digital suburbs of your website architecture. If you do not build massive, multi-lane digital highways connecting your authoritative downtown homepage directly to those high-value suburban service pages, the search engine crawler simply cannot navigate there efficiently. The authority remains trapped at the top of your site, and your most important pages are left to starve. The most catastrophic architectural failure in this regard is the creation of the orphan page. An orphan page is a beautifully written, perfectly optimized URL that exists on your server, but possesses absolutely zero internal links pointing to it from anywhere else within your own website. When the algorithmic crawler arrives at your domain, it navigates by following links. It crawls your homepage, clicks the links in your navigation menu, reads the links in your paragraphs, and maps out the hierarchy of your entire business. If a page is entirely disconnected from this internal ecosystem, the crawler might eventually find it through your XML sitemap, but the machine will mathematically conclude that if you, the business owner, do not consider this page important enough to link to from your own content, then it is absolutely not important enough to present to a human searcher. Let us examine a highly detailed case study from early 2026 involving an American entrepreneur named Thomas. Thomas operated a massive commercial solar installation firm headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada. Recognizing the shift toward renewable energy, Thomas invested heavily in content marketing. He hired industry experts to write 40 massive, deeply researched technical articles covering every conceivable aspect of commercial solar deployment, from lithium-ion battery degradation curves to federal commercial tax credit amortization. These articles were technically flawless. However, 6 months after publication, the historical trends for his organic traffic were completely flat. His massive investment was yielding zero return. A comprehensive structural audit revealed the fatal flaw. Every single one of those 40 technical articles was an orphan page. Thomas had published them to his blog database, but he never actually linked to them from his primary commercial service pages, nor did he link them to each other. They were isolated islands floating in a digital void. We immediately engineered a ruthless, highly structured internal linking framework known as a topical silo, specifically utilizing a hub-and-spoke architecture. We established his primary service page, Nevada Commercial Solar Installation, as the central hub. We then systematically went through all 40 technical articles, the spokes, and manually inserted contextual hyperlinks within the introductory paragraphs that pointed directly back to the central hub page. Crucially, we also interlinked the spoke pages to one another where semantically relevant. For example, the article discussing battery storage explicitly linked to the article discussing grid-tied inverter systems. Finally, we placed 3 highly strategic links directly on the homepage, funneling massive homepage link equity straight down into the top of the hub page. The potential outcomes of this architectural overhaul were immediate and violently positive. By connecting the pages, Thomas mathematically forced the search engine crawler to recognize the sheer depth of his topical authority. The algorithm followed the internal links, absorbed the massive cluster of semantic entities we discussed in the previous section, and instantly understood that Thomas was not just a contractor, but the definitive educational authority on commercial solar in the state of Nevada. His primary commercial page rocketed up the search engine results pages, driven entirely by the redistributed internal link equity from his highly researched supporting articles. But building the highways is only the first step. You must also meticulously engineer the street signs. In the realm of internal linking, the street sign is your anchor text. Anchor text is the exact string of visible, clickable words that you use to hyperlink one page to another. For decades, lazy web developers and uninformed business owners have used catastrophic anchor text phrases like click here, read more, or learn more. When you use click here as your anchor text, you are feeding the sophisticated machine learning algorithm absolutely zero semantic context. You are forcing the machine to guess what the destination page is about. Imagine if you operate a highly specialized corporate accounting firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. You have published a deeply authoritative guide on valuing technology startups during a merger. Somewhere on your primary mergers and acquisitions service page, you want to link to this new guide. If your sentence reads "to learn how to value a tech startup, click here," and you hyperlink the words "click here," you have completely failed. You must strategically wrap the hyperlink around the exact semantic entities that describe the destination. Your sentence should read, "We utilize advanced methodologies for valuing technology startups during corporate mergers," and you must hyperlink the exact phrase "valuing technology startups." This explicitly tells the algorithm that the destination URL is the definitive resource for that specific, highly lucrative query. You must immediately initiate a comprehensive audit of your entire domain's internal link architecture. You must identify your top 3 most profitable service pages or product categories. These are your hubs. Then you must identify every single piece of supporting content, blog post, or frequently asked question page that relates to those hubs. You must aggressively and deliberately link them together using exact match and partial match descriptive anchor text. Do not leave your site architecture to chance or rely on an automated related posts plugin at the bottom of your blog. Internal linking is a manual surgical process of directing algorithmic power exactly where you want it to flow. You are building a fortress of topical relevance that makes it mathematically impossible for a competitor with a thin, unlinked website to outrank you, even if they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on paid advertising. You have now established an impenetrable, flawlessly optimized on-page technical foundation. Your intent matches the market, your HTML is structurally perfect, your vocabulary is rich with semantic entities, your images are lightning-fast traffic generators, and your internal linking architecture is ruthlessly funneling authority to your most profitable assets. The machine completely understands what you do and recognizes your topical relevance. However, relevance and technical perfection are no longer enough to secure the top position in the highly volatile digital landscape of 2026. The algorithm has one final, highly guarded security threshold that you must cross. It is not about what your website says, it is about who is actually saying it. If you fail to mathematically prove your real-world, human credibility to the machine, the algorithm will label your American business as a potential risk to the consumer and permanently suppress your rankings. In the next critical segment of this masterclass, we are going to dissect the brutal reality of algorithmic trust, and I will show you exactly how a single devastating mistake on your About Us page could be secretly destroying your entire digital empire. That single devastating mistake is the catastrophic failure to prove your real-world identity to the search engine algorithm. In the highly regulated and deeply scrutinized digital ecosystem of 2026, technical perfection is merely the baseline for entry. The search engine has evolved into a hyper-vigilant digital protector. It operates under an uncompromising evaluation paradigm known within the search industry as experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Furthermore, the algorithm applies a brutal, specialized filter to any website that publishes content affecting a consumer's future happiness, physical health, financial stability, or safety. This category of content is mathematically designated as your money or your life. If your American business operates in finance, insurance, real estate, medicine, legal services, or any related industry, the algorithm is actively interrogating your credibility every single time it crawls your domain. Let us examine a chilling case study involving an American entrepreneur named Robert. In early 2026, Robert launched a highly specialized boutique wealth management firm in Miami, Florida. Robert was brilliant. He understood search intent perfectly. He mapped out a flawless URL architecture. He hired subject matter experts to draft 40 massive, comprehensive masterclasses on highly lucrative topics like commercial tax loss harvesting, offshore corporate structuring, and advanced fiduciary asset protection. The HTML structure was perfect. The semantic entities were woven into the text with surgical precision. But after 8 months of aggressive publishing, the historical trends for his organic visibility were utterly flat. He was generating 0 high-ticket leads from organic search. We executed a deep forensic audit of his domain and immediately identified the algorithmic poison. Every single one of those brilliant, highly technical financial articles was published under the generic author name admin. Furthermore, his About Us page was a generic, lifeless template. It featured a stock photograph of people in business suits shaking hands and a vague 3-sentence paragraph stating that they were a team of passionate financial experts dedicated to customer success. Robert completely failed to understand the algorithmic reality of a your money or your life query. When a human user in 2026 searches for advice on restructuring their entire corporate retirement portfolio, the machine learning algorithm is programmed to prevent catastrophic financial harm. It will never, under any circumstances, hand that fragile human user over to an anonymous website published by admin. The machine actively seeks out verifiable, licensed, real-world professionals. Because Robert hid his identity, failed to list his financial licenses, and published under a pseudonym, the algorithm categorized his entire domain as an unverified risk and permanently suppressed his rankings to the bottom of the index. The potential outcomes shifted dramatically when we overhauled his digital identity. You must approach your About Us page and your individual author biographies not as an afterthought, but as a critical, high-stakes digital resume submitted directly to the search engine algorithm. First, we completely eradicated the word admin from his database. Every single article was assigned to Robert personally. At the bottom of every page, we engineered a dedicated author box. This is not a stylistic choice. It is a mandatory architectural requirement for trust. This box featured a high-resolution, professional headshot of Robert. It included his full legal name, followed immediately by his specific professional designations, such as certified financial planner. But a name and a picture are not enough to prove identity to a machine. The text within that author box must act as a web of verifiable proof. We explicitly stated his 20 years of experience in the Miami financial sector. Crucially, we embedded external hyperlinks pointing directly to his verified LinkedIn profile, his professional profile on the official state licensing board website, and a link to a published book he authored on a major retail platform. We are physically forcing the crawler to leave the website, follow those links, and cross-reference Robert's identity with highly trusted, external databases. When the algorithm verifies that the author of the article is the exact same entity recognized by the state government and major publishing houses, algorithmic trust is established. You must immediately execute this exact same audit on your own American business website. Imagine if you are a personal injury attorney operating a law firm in Los Angeles, California. A potential client has just experienced a catastrophic collision and is searching for immediate, high-stakes legal guidance. The search engine is highly motivated to serve them a document authored by a verified, State Bar certified legal professional with a documented history of litigation. If your legal blog posts are published by the editorial team, or your About Us page lacks your physical law firm address, your State Bar license number, and direct links to your professional associations, you are mathematically disqualifying yourself from the top organic positions. You must completely strip away the corporate veil. Humanize your brand with exact names, verifiable credentials, and transparent contact information. This concept of verifiable trust must also be translated into the raw source code of your website through an advanced technical deployment known as schema markup, specifically targeting the organization and person data types. Schema markup is essentially a hidden translator that converts the human-readable text on your About Us page into a highly structured, mathematical language called JSON-LD that the search engine crawler can absorb instantly. Instead of making the crawler guess what your business address is by reading your footer, organization schema explicitly hands the machine your exact latitude and longitude, your corporate phone number, your official logo URL, and your verified social media profiles in a clean, unmistakable format. Person Schema does the exact same thing for your authors, mathematically linking their names to their educational background and professional profiles. Deploying this code removes all ambiguity and solidifies your digital authority at the deepest structural level. By demanding radical transparency and structurally proving your real-world expertise, you satisfy the algorithm's ultimate directive, protecting the human user. You transition from being a questionable, anonymous digital entity into a verified, highly authoritative industry pillar. You have built the ultimate, trustworthy foundation. The algorithm trusts you, the links flow perfectly, and the HTML is flawless. But there is a silent, psychological killer lurking in the actual physical formatting of your paragraphs. You can have the best, most authoritative content on the internet, but if you format your text using outdated, legacy design principles, the human user will experience immediate cognitive fatigue, hit the back button, and trigger a catastrophic behavioral signal that destroys your algorithmic authority. We must now dissect the exact mathematical dimensions of your text blocks, and how a failure to optimize for the glass screen of a mobile device will render all of your previous SEO efforts completely useless. The brutal reality of the 2026 digital landscape is this. The desktop version of your website practically does not exist in the eyes of the search engine algorithm. We are operating in a strictly mobile-first indexing environment. When the algorithmic crawler arrives at your domain, it completely ignores how your website looks on a massive 32-inch curved monitor in your corporate office. It specifically renders your website as if it were a 6-inch piece of glass held in the palm of a user's hand. If your text formatting is built for a desktop experience, you are actively initiating a catastrophic psychological reaction in your mobile users known as cognitive fatigue. You can possess the most authoritative, legally verified, perfectly structured content in the world, but if it is physically exhausting to read on a smartphone, the human user will abandon your site in seconds. To fully grasp the financial devastation of poor mobile formatting, we must examine a highly instructive case study involving an American entrepreneur named William. In the early months of 2026, William operated a highly successful estate planning law firm in Phoenix, Arizona. He invested heavily in producing deeply authoritative content, publishing massive, 4,000-word masterclasses on complex topics like irrevocable living trusts and probate avoidance strategies. His semantic entity optimization was flawless. His author schema was perfectly verified. He earned high-tier initial rankings based on this technical perfection. However, his organic lead generation was completely flatlining. A behavioral audit of his website traffic revealed a terrifying metric. His average dwell time on these massive guides was less than 12 seconds, and his bounce rate was hovering near 95%. When we pulled his website up on a standard mobile device, the problem was instantly obvious. William had published his brilliant legal insights in massive, unbroken paragraphs of text, exactly like a printed academic textbook. When a stressed, anxious user in Phoenix searched for emergency probate attorneys and clicked his link, they were immediately assaulted by a solid, impenetrable brick of tiny gray text. It was physically intimidating. The human eye could not find a resting place. The user immediately concluded that reading this document would require too much mental energy, and they instinctively hit the back button. This rapid retreat from a website back to the search engine results page is formally known as pogo sticking. The advanced machine learning algorithm monitors this specific human behavior with terrifying precision. It mathematically interprets a high pogo sticking rate as a definitive signal that your page is fundamentally broken or completely unhelpful to the searcher, regardless of what your HTML tags claim. The algorithm systematically stripped William of his top-tier rankings because his physical formatting was destroying the user experience. To reverse this algorithmic penalty, we had to engineer a radical transformation of his typography using precise, mathematical dimensions optimized exclusively for the mobile screen. You must immediately adopt the unyielding 3-sentence rule for every single piece of content you publish. On a desktop computer, a 3-sentence paragraph looks reasonably short. But on a narrow mobile screen, those same 3 sentences will stack into 6 or 7 lines of text, which is the absolute maximum density the human eye can comfortably process on a backlit digital device. If a paragraph exceeds 3 sentences, you must ruthlessly break it apart. You must force yourself to write in short, aggressive, highly digestible bursts of information. Furthermore, the actual size of your font and the mathematical space between your lines are critical ranking factors tied directly to usability. Historical trends clearly dictate that any font size smaller than 18 pixels on a mobile device will trigger squinting, eye strain, and immediate bounces. Your base paragraph text must be explicitly set to a minimum of 18 pixels. But font size alone is not enough. You must aggressively manipulate your CSS line height. Line height is the invisible vertical space between the bottom of one sentence and the top of the next. If your lines are crammed together, the text becomes a visually muddy blur. You must set your minimum line height to 1.6. This injects strategic white space directly into the center of your paragraphs, allowing the human eye to track seamlessly from left to right without losing its place on the screen. Imagine if you are an American e-commerce brand selling highly technical outdoor survival gear. A user is on their phone, riding a bumpy subway train, trying to read the specifications of your flagship water filtration system. If your product description is a massive block of 12-point font, their thumb will constantly slip, they will lose their place in the text, and their frustration will peak instantly. They will abandon their shopping cart and purchase from a competitor whose website is actually readable. To prevent this, you must treat white space not as empty real estate, but as an active structural element of your on-page SEO strategy. White space is the digital oxygen that allows your written content to breathe. You must deploy bulleted lists and numbered sequences aggressively. Whenever you introduce a process, a set of features, or a series of benefits, you must strip them out of the paragraph format entirely and convert them into a bulleted list. Bullet points act as visual speed bumps for a scrolling user. They disrupt the monotony of the text, immediately draw the eye, and allow the mobile reader to absorb the most critical data points in fractions of a second. You must also master the physical ergonomics of the mobile experience, specifically the concept known as the thumb zone. The modern smartphone screen is massive, but the average human thumb can only comfortably reach the bottom and middle sections of the glass. If you bury your most important semantic entities, your internal links, or your highly specific data points in the top right corner of a massive paragraph, the user will never engage with them. You must structure your content so that the most valuable information naturally cascades down the center of the screen, perfectly aligned with the natural scrolling motion of the user's thumb. You must immediately pause and conduct a manual physical audit of your American business website. Do not rely on automated desktop software to tell you if your site is mobile-friendly. You must pick up your own smartphone, open your most profitable service page, and attempt to read it rapidly while walking around your office. Are your paragraphs visually exhausting? Are you forced to squint to read your own industry expertise? Do your eyes glaze over when you see the massive wall of text under your perfectly optimized H2 tags? If you experience even a fraction of a second of cognitive friction, you must go into your content management system and physically break those paragraphs apart with the Enter key. You are not just formatting text. You are actively engineering human behavior to artificially inflate your average dwell time. When the algorithm sees users staying on your page for 4 minutes instead of 12 seconds, slowly scrolling through your beautifully spaced, highly digestible content, it will definitively lock you into the top organic positions. You have now engineered a digital masterpiece. Your technical architecture is flawless, your semantic vocabulary is undeniable, your algorithmic trust is mathematically verified, and your mobile typography is keeping users glued to their screens for record-breaking amounts of time. You are successfully capturing the exact target audience you set out to find, and you are delivering the exact educational value they demanded. However, capturing attention and keeping them reading is utterly useless if you do not physically force them to take the final revenue-generating action. You have guided them to the very edge of the cliff, but there is one final critical psychological trigger that determines whether they safely cross the bridge to become a paying customer, or simply close the tab and disappear into the digital ether. In the final, most lucrative segment of this deep dive masterclass, we are going completely beyond traditional SEO to dissect the ruthless mechanics of the conversion event, and I will reveal the precise, scientifically proven formula to turn your beautifully optimized organic traffic into cold, hard American revenue. The absolute most dangerous metric in the entire digital marketing industry is unmonetized organic traffic. You can successfully execute every single technical strategy we have discussed in this masterclass. You can perfectly align your search intent, build a flawless header hierarchy, inject hyper-specific semantic entities into your mobile-optimized paragraphs, and watch your daily unique visitor count skyrocket into the thousands. But if those visitors consume your brilliant content, quietly close their mobile browser, and never actually hand over their email address, their phone number, or their credit card information, your entire SEO campaign is a catastrophic financial failure. Search engine optimization without aggressive, scientifically structured conversion rate optimization is simply expensive vanity. We must now dissect the final critical step of your digital architecture, the exact mechanics of the conversion event. To understand the sheer financial gravity of this final step, we must examine a highly revealing case study involving an American entrepreneur named Jonathan. In the spring of 2026, Jonathan operated a highly specialized corporate cybersecurity consulting firm based in Chicago, Illinois. Jonathan was a brilliant technical founder. He meticulously followed every single on-page optimization rule. He published a massive, definitive masterclass on mitigating ransomware attacks in commercial logistics networks. The algorithm rewarded his technical perfection, and his page violently climbed to the #1 organic position for highly lucrative search terms across the United States. His analytics dashboard showed massive spikes in daily traffic. Chief technology officers and corporate risk managers were actively reading his content. Yet, after 3 months of holding the top algorithmic position, Jonathan had generated exactly 0 new consulting contracts from that specific page. We executed a brutal behavioral audit of his high-traffic page, specifically utilizing advanced session recording software to watch exactly how human users were interacting with the document. The failure was not in his SEO, it was in his psychological architecture. Jonathan had placed a single microscopic text link at the very bottom of his 3,000-word article that simply read "Contact us to learn more." He was operating under the fundamentally flawed assumption that if a user liked his content enough, they would happily perform the physical labor required to hunt down his contact information. He severely underestimated the sheer exhaustion and impatience of the modern American buyer. When a corporate executive finished reading his intensely technical article, they experienced a moment of cognitive completion. They found the answer they were looking for, and because Jonathan did not immediately present them with a frictionless, high-value next step, they simply abandoned the page. We completely re-engineered Jonathan's conversion architecture, utilizing a scientifically proven formula designed to eliminate user friction. First, we completely eradicated the generic "Contact Us" text link. The phrase "Contact Us" is a psychological dead end. It implies a slow, painful process of filling out a form and waiting days for an administrative assistant to return an email. Instead, we deployed a highly visible, contrasting button with an action-oriented, value-driven command. We changed the text to read "Secure your free network vulnerability audit today." Notice the profound psychological shift. We are not asking the user to contact us. We are actively offering them immediate, high-stakes value. We are giving them a compelling, selfish reason to click. Furthermore, we completely changed the physical placement of this conversion event. You must never bury your most important revenue-generating action at the very bottom of your document. Historical data proves that less than 20% of mobile users will ever scroll all the way to the footer of a long-form article. You must deploy what is known in the industry as a sticky call to action. We engineered a small, highly visible banner that permanently anchored itself to the very bottom of the user's mobile screen. As the corporate executive scrolled down through Jonathan's brilliant paragraphs, reading about ransomware mitigation, the brightly colored button offering a free vulnerability audit remained constantly visible, hovering just millimeters away from their thumb. The potential outcomes of this single structural change were explosive. By eliminating the friction of searching for a contact page and fundamentally changing the psychological value of the offer, Jonathan's organic conversion rate skyrocketed, transforming his high-volume vanity traffic into a massive pipeline of highly qualified enterprise leads. Imagine if you are operating a commercial landscaping company in Dallas, Texas. A property manager for a massive corporate campus searches for drought-resistant commercial landscape architecture and lands on your perfectly optimized service page. They read your mobile-friendly text, view your compressed, alt-text optimized images, and they are mathematically convinced that you are the absolute best contractor in the state. They click your perfectly worded button that says "Request a commercial property estimate." But then you direct them to a contact form that demands 15 different fields of information. You ask for their first name, their last name, their corporate email, their personal cell phone, their company address, their estimated square footage, their current landscaping budget, and their timeline for completion. You have just created a massive, impenetrable wall of cognitive friction. The user is sitting in their truck, typing on a small glass screen, and they simply do not have the time or the mental energy to fill out a digital interrogation form. They will abandon the page instantly. The historical trends regarding form optimization are absolute and unforgiving. Every single field you add to a digital form mathematically decreases your total conversion rate. You must ruthlessly strip away every single piece of information that is not absolutely critical for initiating the first human contact. For a high-ticket commercial service, you only need 3 things: a name, an email address, and a phone number. You let your highly trained sales team extract the budget, the timeline, and the square footage during the actual consultation call. Your website's only job is to capture the identity of the interested party before they leave the page forever. Finally, to completely neutralize any lingering, last-second psychological anxiety right before the user clicks that submit button, you must surround your conversion event with powerful, verifiable trust signals. A user is hyper-aware of digital security in 2026. They are hesitant to hand over their corporate email or their phone number to a website they just discovered 5 minutes ago on a search engine. Directly beneath your call to action button, you must inject microcopy that explicitly guarantees their safety. You must state clearly that their information is encrypted, that you respect their corporate privacy, and that you will never sell their data to third-party vendors. If you possess industry-specific trust badges, such as a Better Business Bureau accreditation, a verified state contractor license, or an encrypted SSL security shield, You must physically place those visual icons immediately adjacent to the Submit button. This creates a halo effect of absolute security, lowering the user's psychological defenses and drastically increasing the statistical probability that they will complete the conversion event. You now possess the ultimate comprehensive on-page SEO blueprint. You know exactly how to align with the brutal demands of search intent. You understand the hidden architectural power of your URL structures, your title tags, and your meta descriptions. You can flawlessly execute the semantic header hierarchy using H1, H2, and H3 tags. You know how to mathematically extract and inject related semantic entities to build overwhelming topical authority. You have mastered the invisible traffic-generating power of image optimization, and you know how to build a ruthless internal linking silo that funnels link equity directly to your most profitable pages. You have verified your algorithmic trust through strict author transparency and schema markup. You have physically formatted your typography to conquer the mobile-first indexing environment, and you have just learned how to engineer a frictionless, high-converting digital trap that turns organic visitors into paying American clients. Your on-page foundation is now absolutely impenetrable. You have built a flawless, high-performance digital sports car. The engine is tuned, the tires are perfectly balanced, and the aerodynamics are mathematically perfect. But a perfect car sitting in a garage still cannot win a race. You must inject high-octane fuel directly into this system to physically force the search engine algorithm to rank your flawless page above a massive, billion-dollar corporate competitor who has an equally flawless website. The answer to dominating those massive, high-stakes search results does not live on your website at all. It exists in the highly controversial, deeply misunderstood, and heavily guarded world of off-page authority. If you want to understand exactly how the most aggressive digital marketing agencies in the United States mathematically manufacture algorithmic dominance through strategic digital public relations and tactical link acquisition, you must understand the architecture of the backlink.